Hello, I'm Susan, a 30-year-old woman who married Ronald 4 years ago. Ronald is everything you could hope for in a partner: charming, kind-hearted, and someone who makes every day feel special. Unfortunately, that warmth doesn't extend to his mother, Betty. From the very beginning, she seemed to take an immediate disliking to me, and I'm still not sure why. I get that Ronald is her beloved son, and she may just be trying to protect him, but sometimes, she goes too far. Betty has a knack for subtle actions that seem harmless, but are actually meant to irritate me and paint me as the unreasonable one. We've all met someone like her, unfortunately. She's my mother-in-law. I was raised to speak my mind and rarely hold back, which I think is one of the things that drew Ronald to me in the first place. Our differing personalities actually brought us together. Having studied psychology, I can easily spot Betty's manipulative tactics and underlying ill intentions. Our strong personalities have always clashed, and it was evident from the start. Her first comment to me, at our very first dinner together, was about my eating habits, which left everyone at the table in stunned silence. Ronald, embarrassed, immediately came to my defense, but Betty insisted she was only concerned about my health, referencing old photos where she thought I looked better. Although mortified and irritated, I kept my composure, not wanting to cause a scene at our first meeting. Over the years, these uncomfortable moments have only become more frequent. I've gotten along well with the rest of Ronald's family, even his childhood friends, but Betty has remained cold and distant. Even on our wedding day, she tried to impose her opinions, publicly criticizing my appearance. Despite her negativity, I've always felt a deep sense of love and acceptance from the rest of Ronald's family, which has helped offset her remarks. Betty often tries to smooth things over with backpedaling statements like, "Oh no, darling, that's not what I meant. You have so much potential to look better." She claims to see a lot of herself in me, calling me a bright, young woman, but still, she can't seem to stop criticizing my looks. While I can recognize Betty's unique kind of beauty, the ongoing challenges with her have left me feeling worn down, and it's hard to shake off the bitterness. Fast forward to 4 years later, and the tension reached a new high during a recent Sunday dinner at Ronald's childhood home. We were invited over for a casual dinner, or so I thought, until my brother-in-law, Charles, hinted at something bigger. As the evening unfolded, it became clear this wasn't just an ordinary gathering. Betty, with dramatic flair, stood up to announce her big plans. "Attention, everyone, I have an announcement," she declared, holding up a document. "With my birthday coming up, I wanted to share my exciting plans. We're going to Puerto Rico." The room erupted in cheers and excitement. "That sounds amazing. Betty, what great news!" I exclaimed, genuinely thrilled for her. But then, Betty turned to me with a sharp tone. "Actually, Susan, you're not coming." Confused, I asked, "What do you mean? This wasn't part of the plan." "I made some last-minute changes," Betty replied matter-of-factly. "I canceled your ticket before I could incur any extra charges." Stunned, I could only ask, "Why would you do that? Why do you dislike me so much?" The room fell into shocked silence as arguments erupted around the table. Eventually, Betty attempted to justify her decision. "Fine, I'll tell you why. As I get older, I want to spend my remaining years with the people I truly care about. Unfortunately, Susan, you don't make that list." Shocked by her bluntness, Ronald immediately interjected, "Mom, really? What's wrong with you?" Betty shot back defensively, "There's nothing wrong with me. I'm just saying that Susan isn't technically family since she's not related by blood. By that logic, Charles shouldn't be going either, right?" "That's different," Ronald retorted. "Charles is family, and so is Susan. We're married. She's family too." But Betty dismissed this, sticking to her position. "Charles has always been our sweet baby angel, but Susan hasn't. I'm just not comfortable with her coming on the trip. It's my birthday, and I want to be surrounded by those I'm closest to." This painful exclusion brought everything to a head. The deep divides Betty's attitude had created within the family became glaringly clear. As the tension reached its peak, I stood firm, my voice cutting through the chaos and capturing everyone's attention, including Betty's, who had been smirking until now. "Betty," I said, my tone steady and unwavering, "it's been clear from day one that you've held a grudge against me, for 4 years. I've put up with your difficult behavior long enough. Betty, do you really think we're oblivious to your actions? Do you honestly believe we can't see your self-centeredness?" Betty's response was sharp. "Watch your tone, young lady, you're in my house, and you won't be here much longer." I stood my ground, my voice steady. "I'm about to leave, but before I do, there's something I need to say." Turning to face my husband, I saw the pain and anger in his eyes as he watched me. Ronald, darling, I love you completely. I've tried so hard to bridge the gap between us that your mother has kept wide open, but I realize she will never accept me. No matter how much I hold back or how hard I try, she will always find fault with me. I took a deep breath. You should still go on this trip. She's your mother, and you love her. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. I turned back to Betty, who looked stunned by my directness. And as for you, Betty, I continued, unfortunately for you, I am deeply in love with your son, and I'm not going anywhere. You may think you can push me out, but I'm here to stay. Even in Puerto Rico, you'll be thinking of me. Let's face it, you're oddly fixated on me. Betty's anger flared. How dare you? I'm done letting you tear me down. I cut her off firmly. I don't understand why, when all I've ever offered is kindness and patience, even when you didn't deserve it. But enough is enough. If you don't want me in Puerto Rico or as part of this family, that's fine. But as long as I breathe, I will be here for Ronald, for Larry, and for Charles, but never for you. I could see the shock in Betty's face. Her mouth hung open, her pride seemingly preventing her from finding the words. She stood there, speechless. I took a deep breath, turned to say my goodbyes to the rest of the family, and gave Ronald a reassuring kiss on the cheek before heading for the door. Let me drive you home, he called after me, but I stopped him. Don't worry about me, babe, I love you, I reassured him. You go ahead and discuss your trip with her, I'll be fine. Ronald hesitated but finally relented. Okay, if you say you'll be fine, I trust you. Oh, and don't forget your purse. I nodded, realizing I had left it in the kitchen. When I walked in to grab it, Betty was there, likely needing a moment alone after our heated exchange. What do you want? She snapped. Don't worry about me, sweetheart. I'm just here to grab my things, I said, keeping the peace as best I could. Make it quick. I want you out of my house, she retorted, still seething. I can't believe the things you said to me, she muttered, storming out of the room, still too angry to even see me off. I scoffed quietly at her dramatic exit, grabbed my purse, and noticed a piece of paper lying beside it. Curiosity piqued. I picked it up, thinking it might be the trip itinerary, but it was a letter, in Betty's handwriting, addressed to Charles. Dearest Charles, you've always been like a son to me, and I love you dearly. The words felt strange, almost too heartfelt. Driven by curiosity, I read on. I continued to read, my eyes widening with each word. The love and care you've shown me throughout the years will never be forgotten. Regrettably, even with my son Ronald, I feel the love we once shared is no longer there. The sentence stopped me cold. Was Betty implying she loved Charles more than Ronald? That seemed impossible. As I read further, each line only deepened my shock. Though I knew it wasn't right to read someone else's letter, I couldn't tear my eyes away from the revealing words. After finishing, I paced the kitchen, processing everything I had just discovered. I knew that those who needed to hear this were still in the house. It was time to act. I double-checked the letter's contents one more time, then walked into the dining room where only a few pairs of eyes met mine. Larry, Ronald's father, immediately expressed his sympathy. Susan, I am profoundly sorry for what my wife is subjecting you to. Don't worry, you're coming to Puerto Rico with us. Betty's just going through a rough patch. I'll talk to her and make her see reason. I don't know what's gotten into her, but I'll sort it out, I promise. Larry, please don't worry about me, I said, trying to calm him. As I mentioned, I'm fine. I hesitated, then continued, my voice laced with a hint of gravity, but I've stumbled upon something interesting. I held the letter discreetly, letting the tension build, knowing the contents would shift the dynamics of the evening. Ronald's expression shifted to one of anxiety. He probably feared that I was too overwhelmed by his mother's behavior and might consider a break from our marriage. He had always empathized deeply with me whenever I vented about Betty's antics, astonished at how I managed to endure them. It's my love for you that keeps me strong, I had often reassured him. Noticing Betty wasn't in the room, I asked, where's Betty? She needs to hear this too. Larry responded, she mentioned a headache after your confrontation and opted for a nap upstairs. She won't be down for a while. You know how she values her beauty sleep. Frustrated by her absence, yet familiar with Betty's tendency to conveniently excuse herself from uncomfortable situations, I sighed. This is crucial. She has to be here. It's okay, Susan, Larry said, a hand on my shoulder. You can share with us, and we'll fill her in when she wakes up. I paused, torn between wanting Betty to face this revelation directly and not wanting to prolong Ronald's anxiety. After a beat, I decided to proceed. "All right, I'll share what I found," I said, my voice steady. I could feel the weight of the moment as I retrieved the letter from my purse, preparing to read it aloud. As I read, the room fell silent, hanging on every word. "Dearest Charles, you know you have always been like a son to me, and I love you dearly. The love and care you've shown me throughout the years will never be forgotten. I hate to admit it, but even with my son Ronald, I feel as though the love we once shared is no longer there. Ronald and I just don't see eye to eye like we used to. And honestly," the words echoed in the room, leaving a heavy silence in their wake. The weight of Betty's letter hung heavily in the room as I finished reading. Her words cut through the air, exposing years of resentment and betrayal. It was clear now, she had already decided to sever ties with Ronald. "I think it's because of Susan," Betty had written. "Ever since he married her, he no longer has time for me, he doesn't show me love, and therefore, I don't think I can continue loving him as I once did. I love you, Charles, and you are my son. With that being said, I want to let you know that I am going to update my will so that you will inherit all of my belongings, not Ronald." A heavy silence followed my final words. Shock and confusion flickered across the faces of those in the room. This was not just a letter, it was a declaration that could irreparably alter the family dynamic. Betty's actions were reckless, and this revelation would set the stage for difficult and uncomfortable decisions. "Honestly, at this point, I'm beyond caring," Betty continued in her letter. "It's Susan. She's the reason my feelings for Ronald have changed. I hope this letter reaches you well. The reason I couldn't bring this up in person is, and it pains me to say this, I couldn't bear to see your possible rejection. I know you see Ronald like a brother, and you might not agree with my decision, but that doesn't matter to me anymore." She had already made up her mind. "I'm leaving everything to you, the money, the house, the cars, and even my small businesses. They're all yours, whether you agree or not. If you want to discuss this, please call me. I look forward to your response. I will love you forever and always, your second mom." As I finished reading, I could see the emotional turmoil playing out in the room. Larry appeared on the verge of tears, Charles was shocked into silence, and Ronald was fuming. "I can't believe she wrote all this. Is she serious?" Ronald burst out, his anger evident. "She's cutting me out of the will just to spite me, and Susan too. She's completely lost it," he added, shaking his head in disbelief. "I don't even know what to say anymore. This has gone way too far. I'm so tired of her toxic behavior."
In the midst of the heated exchange, a thought suddenly struck me. A week had passed since the letter surfaced, and today marked the beginning of the planned trip to Puerto Rico. But Betty was not in the loop. That morning, Betty found a note from Larry on her bedside table. It read, "Good morning, beautiful. We decided to let you catch up on your beauty sleep. Don't worry, your bags are packed. Just meet us at the airport." Betty rushed to get ready, frantic to catch up with her family. She couldn't reach anyone on the phone, and assuming they had already boarded without her, she boarded the flight alone, hoping to meet them in Puerto Rico. 10 long hours later, she landed, desperate to reunite with her family. She immediately called Larry. "Hey, Larry, where are you guys? I woke up late, found your note, but no one was answering. I assumed you had already boarded without me. Where are you? Let's start the festivities." Larry's response hit her like a ton of bricks. "What do you mean, where are you? I'm at home, Betty." "What? Why are you at home?" Betty asked, her voice trembling with confusion. "You see, Betty, Susan brought some important information to our attention last week," Larry explained calmly. "Since finding out, we decided we'd rather spend time in Los Angeles with Susan than go anywhere with you." Betty's breath caught in her throat. "What? No, what do you mean?" Ronald's voice rang through, cold and furious. "Don't baby me, Mom. We all know what you were planning. You were going to cut me out of your will." Betty's response was a faint protest, but Ronald was having none of it. "How did you even find out about that? That wretched girl you hate so much?" "Because Susan found your letter in the kitchen," Larry stated firmly. Betty stammered, trying to deny it. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Stop lying, Betty," I said, my voice steady. "Charles, tell them." Charles, usually reserved, looked her square in the eyes. "Betty, the game's up. I didn't do anything. Susan's making all of this up," Betty protested, desperation creeping into her voice. "Oh, am I?" I shot back, my frustration spilling over. "We all know what you said and what you tried to do. Thank goodness I was curious enough to read the whole thing. Betty tried to make one last appeal. Please, Ronald, Larry, don't do this to me. Let's talk about it. But Larry was unmoved. Enough is enough. Betty, your hatred has blinded you. You have to deal with the consequences of being alone on your birthday because of what you've done. I'll be alone? Betty whimpered, the full reality of the situation finally hitting her. This won't be fun. Maybe people would like you more if you weren't such a raging witch. I shot back, finality in my voice. Have fun with that. Larry ended the call, and the room fell into a stunned silence. Then, the tension broke. I let out a nervous laugh, which quickly spread. Ronald joined in, then Charles, and before we knew it, we were all laughing, albeit nervously, at the sheer absurdity of it all. Betty's face, pale and drained when she realized the truth, was a memory I wouldn't forget. It was clear she had never been so embarrassed. While Betty languished in her solitude, trying to salvage what remained of her vacation, Larry set clear terms for their marriage upon her return. If she wanted to continue their life together, she would need to make drastic changes. Ronald also made it clear that if Betty wanted to be part of his life, she had to completely change her attitude. He was done with her toxic behavior. As for Charles, he realized that by enabling Betty's bad actions, he had only made things worse. By the end of her ill-fated vacation, Betty was not only facing a lonely, miserable time but also the very real risk of losing the three most important men in her life. Her toxic behavior had led her to this moment, and it was clear she needed to change. As for me, I sent Betty a message saying I needed time to decide if I could ever forgive her for the wrong she had done. She replied, begging me to persuade the others to reconsider their positions, but I refused. I told her she had made her bed, and now she had to lie in it. To this day, Betty continues to try and repair the damage she caused, but I can't help but wonder if, in this painful process, she's learned any lessons at all.